Mokara. The difference between Vandas and Mokaras is that the Mokaras are an intergeneric hybrid between Arachnus, Ascocentrum and Vanda. So you'll find their cultural requirements are almost identical to that of Vandas, except I do find my Mokaras are more prone to root rot. The flower spikes are often longer, with a larger number of flowers on each spike, and the sepals and petals are generally longer and narrower than on your Vanda, and you'll find often they'll have these beautiful spots all over them. And these beautiful bloomers appear to be more adaptable. But not only that, given the right conditions, they can bloom all year long, even indoors. So the main elements to get right are light, water, temperature, and fertilizer. And with that, welcome to the Nature Company. If this is the kind of information you're interested, please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and that notification bell to be notified of all upcoming videos so you don't miss out on a thing. Light requirements for Mokaras. Well, here in the subtropics, I grow mine out in the full sun all day, and they thrive. And with my experience growing them in a greenhouse, I never give them more than 20 or 25% shade. The more shade you give them, the less frequent the flowers become, and the higher percentage shade cloth you use, the fewer flowers you get, until a point where they stop flowering altogether. So light is important. If you're growing indoors, in the northern hemisphere, use a southern window. In the southern hemisphere, use a northern window to get the maximum light through to your plant. And they'll especially love it if you can give them some direct sun for at least part of the day. Especially in winter, if you can give them as much sun as you possibly can, it will help not only keep the plant warm, but help it grow. Temperature requirements, they'll take evening temperatures of around 55 degrees, which is about 12 degrees Celsius without a problem. And they'll even go down to as low as 40 degrees, which is about 4 degrees Celsius. And here we get the occasional evening of 2 degrees, and I still get mine to flower beautifully. The daytime temperatures up to 35 is no problem, which is around 95 degrees Fahrenheit. So heat is no problem for Mokaras. But to get the best blooming out of them, it's best to keep it in a medium. So you're looking at between 60 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit, which is between 12 and 21 degrees Celsius for the evenings, and the daytime temperatures getting high is not a worry for these. So keeping them warm all year long is what's going to keep them growing and flowering the whole year through. But remember, in doing this, you're going to have to increase your watering and your feeding to make sure they've got all the nutrients that they need to bloom beautifully. If you're using artificial heating to keep them warm, remember that's going to draw all the humidity out, so you're going to have to remember to keep your humidity levels up and keep that good air circulation to avoid any rot. Watering. Mokaras are heavy drinkers, especially while in growing mode, but the roots rot easily, so make sure they've got the drainage. They generally have the silvery white appearance when they're dry, and as they wet, they go green. So if they kept moist, they keep this nice green color, but as they dry out, they turn the beautiful silvery white. Understanding your orchid's natural habitat will help you understand its watering requirements, and for you to be able to reproduce a good care routine to make sure your orchids are always at their best. If you're growing bare root, you can water them every day or even twice a day during warm weather. If you're growing them in a media, ensure it's well drained with lots of aeration. Fertilization, last but certainly not least, because Mokaras are heavy feeders. So just like your Vandas, we're going to be feeding them every week at full strength. Either your organic or a good balanced fertilizer, and you can even fertilize it with every watering. But then remember, you've got to reduce your ratio to approximately 1/4 of the recommended strength. And once a month we're going to be adding extra phosphorus. This is just to nudge your Mokara orchid to push out a few more of those amazing flower spikes. So you'll find their cultural requirements are almost identical to that of Vanda's, except I do find my Mokaras are more prone to root rot. So with that in mind, I use large bark chips to allow for that fast drainage and that good aeration they need to keep them safe. And what you'll find in media that holds too much moisture, all the roots will die and you'll end up with basically a bare root plant. And with your Mokara orchids, it's easy to figure out when you've got your cultural requirements right. This beautiful bright green color and all these amazing flower spikes popping up in between the leaves, and you know you're a for away and this plant is going to grow beautifully. But in a short period of time, because they're fast growers, you're going to notice that they're going to need to be repotted or divided. They've outgrown the situation that they're in, and it's time to get to repotting. Always remember to use a well aerated, well drained media. So at this point it would be a good time to divide this orchid, taking it apart at the base or even doing a top cutting, and then we'd need to repot those in a separate pot into something like that. And in repotting, I generally like to stick with the large bark chunks, but anything like broken bricks, lava rock, charcoal are all good media to use as well. If you're growing indoors, rather stick with the light medias like your large bark chunks or your charcoal, so that you can move it around the house, making sure that you can keep it in those bright sunshine areas and get all that warmth and sun that they need to thrive. But all of that will be explained in an upcoming video. So, can you get your Mokara orchids to bloom all year? If not, why not? These are just the basic things that, if you can get right, will keep your Mokara orchid blooming all year. And thanks for watching. If you found any of this information helpful, please hit that like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe down below and hit that notification bell, bing bong, to be notified of all our upcoming videos so you don't miss out on a thing. Help us grow as we help your orchids grow.